By now, I'm sure you understand the value of learning strategies and tactics in order to improve the quality of your life and achieve the goals that you're after. But at the same time, strategy and learning the specific tactics aren't everything. I mean, you can teach a man the mechanics of how to fish. Okay, put the bait on the hook and then cast it out. And then once you get a bite, start reeling it in. But if you don't understand the principles behind it, you aren't able to generalize it and have success in other areas and just be more generalized. So as a young guy who's, been working on himself for years and trying to improve the quality of my life and just achieve a whole bunch of results, there's some principles that I've learned that I wish I would have learned when I was younger, that I know would have helped me a lot. So the first is an attitude of gratitude. Gratitude is essentially just taking some time to notice the things that you really appreciate that are already in your life. A lot of people, especially I think, when we're like really ambitious and like just trying to get after it, we take for granted the importance of mental health. But the thing is, I mean, especially as like a high achiever, you need to have your mental health in check. And gratitude is one of the best practices that I know and quickest practices I know in order to help you with this. Essentially, you just take some time to appreciate some of the things that are in your life. And I know, when you think about this, you may think, oh, well, if I have gratitude and I'm constantly thinking of like the things that I'm grateful for, wouldn't that just make me more complacent? Like, wouldn't that just make me more satisfied with what I have? And then, I won't want to go out and grow and achieve things because, I'm already grateful for the things that I have, right? But the thing is, it's actually the complete opposite. I mean, you can imagine someone who's trying to achieve a goal, like say it's fitness, they're trying to lose weight. They're putting their nose to the grindstone, they're really hitting it hard, they're trying to do everything they can, and it's very painful. But without gratitude, you start to think of all the negative things as your mind like usually does. And things just become really negative and stressful. And because of all that stress, you're not able to continue going because it's just so painful. But when you have just a sense of gratitude, even if it's not related to what you're doing, just like taking some time to think, well, yeah, I'm really grateful that my mom did this for me, a couple of years ago. Or I'm really grateful that I'm able to like live where I live and like live in the country where there's so much freedom and opportunity. Or I'm grateful for this or I'm grateful for that. Now, because like your mental health is improved by that like small way, now it's so much easier to go out and do the other things because it's like you notice, well, there's already some things going for me. Even if this thing doesn't work out, I'm okay with that. And it's just taking a lot of stress off of yourself and making things so much easier for you to do. I know for me personally, when I started the practice of using gratitude, obviously I just like started feeling way better day to day. Things were more wholesome. I felt a lot more patient with other people because I was able to understand and I was a lot more patient with myself. I was able to fail a lot more and not be so stressed out by it and like beat myself up. And instead, just like accept it and keep going. And recently, actually, or relatively, I guess, I had to get back into gratitude because for a while I didn't have a gratitude practice. I kind of stopped because I was like, I'm too busy and, I've already done it for so long, so I don't really need to, have a gratitude practice anymore. And, seeing the difference now, I realized that I became a lot more impatient with people, a lot more impatient with myself. And like my tolerance for taking action just went down. So even if you're not really someone who's like concerned about your mental health, like from a practical perspective of just achieving more, gratitude, it's just like a very good practice. So practically what do you actually do? There's many ways to do it. Some people will like send notes to people that they know and just say like, hey, I'm very appreciative, or I'm grateful that you did this for me, or like blah, blah, blah. Um, it's very nice to do that. Sometimes it can be uncomfortable. So I guess if you're like starting, like something that I do consistently, because, I may not want to send like 100 messages. I'll just like write down 3 things in my journal that I'm grateful for every single morning, before I like, go out and, start the day. And 3 times or 3 things that I'm grateful for before I go to bed. And it's a very simple practice, but again, just by becoming aware of the things that are already in your life that you can appreciate, it just makes making progress long term so much easier. Second principle I'd say is to invest in yourself. A lot of people, I mean, you watching this video, you probably understand the value of investing in yourself because you're watching a video to, educate yourself and so you can grow in the long term. But a lot of people just don't understand how valuable their own self is. Like they'll invest in these companies and like stocks or crypto or whatever. But really, if you just invest in yourself and you like place all the bets on yourself, there's so much more potential that you could get, or there's so much better results that you can get. People unfortunately don't trust themselves, and it's a shame because, humans have so much potential. If we would just learn and invest more time and, money into ourselves in order that we grow and, do better, so many things would just be better. So practically what this means, whether it's buying a course or, buying a book and educating yourself, just don't be afraid to invest in yourself because it pays off. It really does. It's painful in the moment, but it pays off. Like that's how investments work. You have to you have to sacrifice something right now, but over time, like that's going to profit you for like the rest of your life. Third principle, I'd say, is to take care of your health and vitality. A lot of people, especially in this generation, like when you're young and you don't really have that many health problems, we take for granted how important your health is. And you definitely see this in like people who've grown up and like they've had bad habits with their health, and now they're like kind of middle age and they really shouldn't have that many health problems, but just there's just so many health problems with them. You really just got to take care of your health, whether that means not doing the bad habits like, taking an excessive amount of drugs or drinking, making sure that you're getting enough sleep, making sure that you're exercising, like the simple things, just taking care of your health. Because even if you may not feel the fullness of the effects right now, it's going to catch up to you. Like years are going to pass. And the question is, where will you be? Will you be the person who should have an incredible amount of health and vitality, but because of what they did before, now they're very, stiff and frail and they have really low energies and it's just hard for them to do anything? Are you going to be the person who actually took care of their health and now, even at a very old age, you have a very high level of vitality and energy and you're able to be present with the people that you love? It's just very important that I believe, at least for myself, it's like a standard I have for myself. I always have to make sure that I'm doing the right thing for my health because I plan on living for as long as I can because I want to do a lot of things. Yeah. Take care of your health, make sure that your energy levels are good, and you'll thank yourself later. Fourth principle is to fail forward fast. Especially in the beginning stages, I think for a lot of people, when it comes to achievement and like improving themselves and personal development, whatever, we're afraid of failure, and it's a natural thing. And I guess it becomes worse because of like the conditioning that we go through with, school and just other things. But basically, we're very afraid of failure. But the truth is, for the most part in life, you can fail quite a bit and you'll still be fine. Like, of course, there are some things where you really don't want to mess up and, you want to make sure that you get right. But from a lot of like failures and things that can go bad, they can actually be a good thing if you let them. Like, for example, say when it comes to like starting a business, right? A lot of people are afraid because, they hear the statistic, oh, well, 99% of businesses end up failing. And it's like, well, yeah, but you can fail. You can try like to start 100 different businesses. And if even just 1% of them end up working, like you've won essentially because you only need to really make one business work like really well for you to like retire and just like have the life that you really want. But anyways, there's a lot of failures that you can experience. People are afraid to try new things and experience that failure. But really, failure is like the greatest teacher because if you try something that you think will work and it doesn't work, well, now you've learned the lesson. Now you know what doesn't work. You can try something else and see if that works. And if it doesn't work, you try something else. And eventually, through this iterative process, you learn more and more and you're able to get the success that you want. And when you compare someone who's able to fail forward and like do it quickly and rapidly, they're able to learn so much more in terms of like what does work and what doesn't work and get to the level of success that they want compared to the person who is so afraid of failing that they don't try anything. And now they're like still at square one. Like they haven't even started the race, but the person who's failed a lot, they're like way ahead of them. It's definitely a way that you can make the competition essentially irrelevant. Just increase your tolerance for failure. Keep taking action. Obviously, you want to be smart about it. Don't take stupid risks that have a huge amount of downside where like if you fail, like your whole life is ruined essentially. Like having sex with the wrong person and getting them pregnant and now you're on child support and you're not really where you need to be financially, that can be like a huge mistake that you make. And, obviously you can bounce back from that, but just take intelligent risks, I would say, and learn from those mistakes and you will be so much better off for it. There's very little mistakes in this world that you can make that you can't bounce back from and can learn a lesson from them and improve from it. But yeah. Fifth principle is to take radical responsibility. It's really unfortunate when I see people who are still in that childish mode where they play the blame game like, oh, well, it's this person's fault or it's that person's fault or it's because of the way that the market is or because of the way that people are or blah, blah, blah. They just make up these excuses to blame. And it can be true in a sense. Like I'm not saying that some things can't be someone's fault because genuinely, like there can be things that are other people's fault. But the thing is, when you blame somebody else, when you put the blame on someone else, which what a lot of people don't realize is that you're giving the power to them. You're essentially saying, it is this person's fault. Therefore, it's their job to fix it. And only when they fix it, can I be happy or can I be satisfied? But I mean, you can't control other people. You can't control the decisions that they make. So rather than play the blame game, instead, which I found to be so useful, is just to take radical responsibility. For any problem that affects me in my life, I'll just take responsibility for it. Even if, it may be, and it may like look like it's somebody's fault. I'll take responsibility for it anyways because it's affecting me. Whether that means that I have to disassociate with that person, whether that means I have to just change the way that I'm, thinking about the situation and learn from it. Just take responsibility, dude. Because even if it doesn't seem fair, that's kind of just the way that life is. You can't control other people. You just have to take responsibility for whatever the situation is. If you're trying to apply to a job and you're kind of blaming the way that, the economy is like, oh, well, AI is taking over and, there's no more job opportunities and blah, 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 blah. You could play the blame game and essentially stop yourself from getting the thing that you want. But instead, I suggest what would be a smarter idea is just take radical responsibility. Say, okay, what part do I play? Like, what role do I play in this? Okay, maybe I'm just not sending enough job applications. Maybe I haven't networked enough. Maybe my skills aren't developed enough. Maybe I shouldn't even be applying for a job. Maybe I should, try my hand in entrepreneurship because that might have more opportunity. Just stop focusing on the thing that you can't control and take responsibility for it, do something about it, and you'll thank yourself. Again, it may not always seem fair, but it's definitely way more effective. That kind of goes into the sixth principle, which is to focus on what you can control. Again, kind of goes into the responsibility thing. There are some things in life that you can't control. You'll see some things on the news or on social media, and it's this really outrageous thing, it'll make you feel some type of way. But focusing way too much on that can definitely mess with your mental health. So for me personally, what I do is I just try to focus on the things that I can control, even if it's some external thing that I notice. Instead of thinking about oh, this person's bad or why does this happen? Life is unfair, blah, blah, blah. I'll just focus, okay, what can I control in this situation? If it really bothers me, what can I actually do? Well, I might be able to, help people. Say, shit, something bad happens on the news. Okay, maybe I can do something to help people who are in this situation so, they don't suffer as much. Or say I've been really trying to get into fitness and build more muscle, but, I see that there's these other people who have made way faster progress than I have. And, I've been trying for X amount of years and they've only been trying for a few years and they made so much more progress than me. And this is really unfair. Instead of focusing on all of that external stuff that you can't control, just focus, okay, what can I do? Well, I can, do a little bit more research on fitness and what actually builds muscle and get me closer to my goals. And I'll start to implement that stuff and, I'll just focus on myself, not focusing on the things that I can't control. It's been such a useful mental model for me to use because it takes out a lot of the stress and you learn to let go of the things that you can't control because, man, there's some people out there who stress themselves out so much over things that they have no control over. And none of us enjoy the feeling of being helpless. So rather than stressing yourself out unnecessarily and getting nothing done, just focus on the things that you can control and you'll be a lot more effective. This is it for this video, but if you're on Patreon, you'll be able to see the full video.